Hey, it's Huck. And, forgive me, I'm at my bum at home look here. The hat because it's a bad hair day. The sweater because it's cold in this room. And, the temperature today, I think it's finally climbed over 10 degrees, according to my thermometer out on the porch. And at any rate, I hope all of you are doing well. I'm going to keep this short, but I wanted to make one comment on something that's kind of creating some news on the YouTube front. And also I wanted to make one little comment about this pending government shutdown. And first of all, as many of you know, I have been on YouTube now, first with my original channel, HuckFin22, and then shortly thereafter with this channel, Huck at Home, since I think I got everything all started in March of 2010. And I remember when I first initially began, the hope was, I was trying to take care of my mom best I could. It was tough. I had to take a very low-paying job here in town so I could be with my mom during the day. And, it was hard to make ends meet. And, I put up a GoFundMe page, which is still up. And I started YouTube, out of the probably unrealistic hope that eventually I might make a little bit of money on the side to help things go. And I remember, being somewhat shocked when I first started. And, I started my HuckFin22 channel basically aimed at comedy. And so a lot of my early videos... Gigi, no. Gigi. She hears the noise anywhere outside, and she does this. At any rate, I'm kind of proud of some of my early amateur videos. And, some of them are kind of humorous, I think. And at any rate, the good news for me was that, several folks out there like you thought so too. And so, it's hard. It's really hard to get started on YouTube if you're not already, got a large following somehow. And so, as my views and my subscriptions started climbing and I got up to like 200 subscribers and 250 subscribers, I'm thinking, hey, maybe this is feasible. And then back when I started, there wasn't really anything written that you could follow that explained how you could become what was then called a YouTube partner. It was a mystery. And I actually did a video about this back then. And so no one really knew what the thresholds were that they were looking for. And it was simply because there were no thresholds that were written down or disseminated in a way that people, couldn't know what to shoot for at that time. And so eventually I climbed up over, I think, 1,500 subscribers. And I was starting to get, in the neighborhood of 4,000 or 5,000 views on some of my videos. And I still thought I hadn't hit the threshold. So at that time, you had to apply for partnership, and you had to, contact YouTube, and, even learning how to do all of that. You had to write to them, and you had to ask them to, well, at any rate, I was pretty confident that I hadn't met those thresholds yet, and so I was hesitant to try. But a number of my viewers told me, what have you got to lose? Go ahead and do it. So finally I did. I applied, and to my amazement, with about 1,500 subscribers, and like I say, not that many total views really, I was accepted, and I was thrilled. The truth is that at the end of that first year, I received my first check. Can't remember exactly how much it was worth, but it came well after a year after I was accepted, and it was for, like, if I remember correctly, it was in the neighborhood of around $300 or something, and I probably received that sometime around 2011, 2012, something like that. And then years went by, and I had not received another check. And sometime after that, YouTube did set some thresholds, and apparently the thresholds were, among other things, that you had to have at least 10,000 views, and I don't know, I think 1,000 subscribers. And you know, obviously I had set that mark sometime prior, so you know, I remained in the partnership program, which basically, being a partner means that you can monetize your videos. Now, YouTube changed it again at some point. We're basically, I think, and I don't know, because I never really followed it that closely. I was a partner, so I didn't really have to worry about it. All I knew is that, you know, unless I was using someone else's material in some way, you know, I could monetize, as long as my videos were original content, I was eligible to monetize my videos, whether they received a lot of views or very few. And so, you know, I post my videos, I monetize them, and you know, and you hope for the best. Now, you don't get paid until you know, earn at least $100. So, you know, in my case, months or even years can go by before you've earned that. At the beginning of this year, though, as many of you know, because I mentioned it, I was surprised because, like I said, I'd gone such a long time without getting any revenue that suddenly one of my videos on this channel, a video that I'd done way back in 2010 about Obamacare, started getting lots of hits. I mean, tens of thousands of hits. And it generated a lot of revenue for me. I mean, well, relatively speaking, and I received a few $100s for it back in January, February of this year. And it was that money, that foreseen circumstances of suddenly getting these checks, that prompted me to take that trip to England, which was something I would have never even fantasized of doing had I not received that money. And be honest with you, it didn't pay for that trip. It didn't go anywhere near, as it turns out, paying for that trip. That trip I am still paying for. But part of that is because I was forced into spending money on a much more expensive hotel than I would have chosen for myself had it not been for my medical situation at the time, and a few other things. But the point is, that money was instrumental in me fulfilling a lifetime goal. And but more than that, even though you're not making a lot of money, I mentioned on here several times that really since my mom passed away, I've really not looked at YouTube as a money-making venture, any longer. That I have other reasons for posting my videos. It's one of the reasons why I haven't posted very much on my main channel anymore. It's not that I, can't be funny once in a while if I want to. It's basically because I'm not, striving to earn, money in the way that I was before. Partly because I don't have the, I don't have the stamina to try to work at it as hard as I did before. And so I've basically not pursued making money in the way that I did before. But that is not to say that I don't appreciate, the views or the knowledge that somewhere down the road I am going to get a little money for this. Because as the views, add up, eventually, it adds up, and once you've reached $100 worth of revenue, they pay you. So the news that came out this week that YouTube is changing their thresholds is quite troubling. Not just to me from a financial standpoint, but I think it is devastating to a lot of young, YouTube creators who, felt that there was this incentive for them, to make content and to build an audience. And where I really have a problem is because I don't understand the reasoning behind YouTube's actions. At this point, what they have said now is, I received a notification, just like other YouTube creators have, that basically said that I no longer qualify. And that they're going to give me a 30-day grace period, but by, I don't know what is it, February 18th or something, I will no longer be given the opportunity to monetize my videos because I do not meet their current thresholds. The thresholds are having at least 1,000 subscribers. Well, I have that. It doesn't mean that they watch all my videos. They certainly no longer do. But, I do have over 1,000 subscribers. In fact, I have, I think, over 2,000 subscribers on each of my two channels. Where I'm not meeting their threshold, apparently, is what I think is an unreasonably set threshold of 4,000 hours of viewed videos. And 4,000 viewed hours is a really big number. Just to give you an example, I have about 3/4 of that in the last year. I think it was about 150,000 viewed minutes, which comes out to just about 3,000 viewed hours over the last year. Now that includes all of the, views that got me that money in January and December, January, and February on that Obamacare video. They gave me hundreds of dollars. So YouTube is going to not pay an awful lot of creators. Now they claim, in a posting that they posted, they claim that this new threshold, that 99% of the people affected by this have not even earned $100 or have earned $100 or less in the last year. That's an awful lot of people, because if there are people like me that have earned several $100s that are also included, I have to imagine that there's quite a few people like me. The point is, I think to date, this year, in the past 365 days now, I have had, like I say, about 3,000 viewed hours. Now, if somehow I were to get another 1,000 viewed hours within the next 30 days, I would remain in the program. This would be a good time for you to start checking out all my, previous videos if you hadn't gotten around to it. But I'm not expecting 1,000 viewed hours to pop up here suddenly within the next 30 days. At any rate, apparently the reasoning that YouTube is giving for this. And when we're talking YouTube, keep in mind we're talking Google. Google owns YouTube. They are supposedly, allegedly, their reasoning is that they are trying to crack down on, quote, bad actors. People that are nefariously earning money on YouTube in inappropriate ways. Particularly those who are, like, let's say, copying and posting other people's videos and then trying to earn revenue on it with a quick, 10,000 views or whatever. Now, to me, this is kind of like, first of all, that excuse just doesn't fly. It makes absolutely no sense at all. I know that YouTube has algorithms and all kinds of different when you post a video on YouTube, it is processed, and this processing basically looks for copyright infringements. It looks for multiple postings, and so the reason that they're giving for implementing this new policy is basically, it sounds to me like an admission that their processing isn't up to speed. But it also doesn't ring true because if you think about it, it's kind of like saying, well, we found we found 3 Irish voters who fraudulently, went in and voted twice, at 2 different precincts last year. So we're going to ban all Irish people from voting in the upcoming election. It's kind of like Trump's travel ban. We fear that people coming from this specific country may be a security risk, and so we're going to ban all people from coming from that country. The truth is, I think that YouTube may have found a way either to keep a lot more money for themselves, since they're going to be paying out a lot less revenue to creators who are not really already successful, or they're going to dispense all of that new savings to people that are already really successful. And I guess if that's the case, this is just another another example of trickle-down economics, where the rich keep getting richer, and in this case, the poor and the struggling aren't even thrown a bone, if you will. Now, I went and checked, and I haven't done this. I never do this, but I finally went into my little analytic tool thing, which is another thing that they're going to stop providing creators. But for now, it's still up. And went and checked to see what my current revenue stream is. And as it turns out, I have I'm like at $51 currently, which means that I'm halfway to getting that $100. They don't cut you a check until you get to $100. So they did say in this statement that that us partners who are now about to lose our partner privileges and our chances of monetization of our videos will get paid whatever we're owed, even if it's short of $100. So if I remain at $51 or whatever at the end of this 30-day grace period, they apparently will cut me a check for the $51, and then that'll be it. At any rate, I'm not happy about it for, you know, the reasons I've given, but mainly because I think, you know, and I'm not thinking as much about myself. I've been getting some much needed revenue help here, you know, through, you know, one or more of my viewers who have taken it upon themselves to help me. And, you know, but I mean, that's not going to last forever. And to lose this, you know, potential revenue stream is really troubling for me, but it's, I think it's devastating to a lot of other people who have been working really hard and putting a lot of work and time into their videos, you know, trying to build an audience with the hope that they were going to, you know, that they were going to see a little bit of revenue trickling in. And if they have to wait until they get 4,000 hours of viewing within the 12, you know, within the last year, all I can say is that is an awful lot of views, particularly if, you know, my videos tend to be 20 minutes long. Most people that watch my videos, I dare say, probably don't watch, you know, the entire 20 minutes. But for most people that post on video, their videos are nowhere near that length. And particularly people that are trying to build an audience with some kind of fun entertainment type thing. You know, I mean, they've been told, they've been advised that, you know, short videos are the way. You know, people don't want to sit down and, you know, as they're browsing through their thumbnails, they look at, wow, that video is 16 minutes long. Well, I'm not going to take time for that. But if they see a, you know, video that's, you know, a minute and a half or 2 minutes long, they might give it a click. Trying to get 4,000 hours, you know, what is that, like 200 and some thousand minutes? That's an awful lot of views of a couple of 2-minute videos. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I don't know what the solution is, and I don't know how to protest this in a way that would, you know, would matter. But I'm not happy about it, and I know a lot of other people aren't happy about it. That's my 2 cents worth on that subject. The other thing is, you know, currently we're going under this lot of news coverage of, you know, this continuing resolution to keep the government funded. And Democrats are insisting that accommodation be made once and for all for dreamers. And the dreamers, just to make sure that we define this properly, dreamers are people that back during the Obama administration voluntarily signed up and allowed themselves to be registered. They had to meet certain criteria. They had to have already graduated high school or achieved their GED. They had to have, you know, absolutely no criminal record. And at any rate, these folks who signed up and who qualified were promised that they would be able to stay in this country and that they would be able to work in this country. And that, of course, has been pulled out from under them by the Trump administration. And so the fact that that has not been addressed and that Republicans say they want to address it, but basically refuse to address it, is how we find ourselves at this moment in time where, you know, the government has continued to operate for the last 8 years with one continuing resolution after another. Because basically, Congress can't get their, they can't get their shit together enough to pass, an annual budget. And so they do this piecemeal. And every time it comes up again and has to be funded before the federal government basically shuts down, both parties basically use whatever leverage they can to get whatever they can. And the Democrats are under enormous pressure to alleviate, the concerns of dreamers who are in very, very real danger of seeing themselves, not to mention their families, deported. And it's not like that hasn't happened already. At least 16,000 dreamers have been deported since Trump, canceled the DACA program. And so I understand the fear that these 690,000 young people are living with. And, well, I take that back. I can't probably imagine the fear that many of them are living with, especially given the fact that they voluntarily gave their name and their address and all kinds of other personal information that makes it pretty doggone easy for immigration officials to come track them down and take them or their other family members away. Right now, you're seeing Republicans claim that, backtrack. President Trump had said that he would sign any CR resolution that landed on his desk that was passed by Congress. And knowing full well at the time, of course, that Democrats wanted DACA addressed within this bill, and he went so far as to say that I don't have a means test on this. Whatever they come up with and present to me, I will sign. And then, of course, Democrats, along with Republicans, came up with a bipartisan agreement that included DACA, that included a little bit of funding for Trump's wall, and included, some other things, that some additional military spending that the Republicans wanted, included funding for this chip program that right now nearly 9 million young people whose parents are not so poor that they're eligible for Medicaid, but are not wealthy enough to afford, health care either. The CHIP program has also been, devastating news. And many states right now are in rapid succession running out of funds to keep children within those states, enrolled in the program. And that's only going to, a number of those states are just going to grow here in rapid succession. At any rate, currently there are at least 56 senators that were signed on to agree to this bipartisan compromise bill. And there are only 50 Republican senators who would agree to this other bill that doesn't include DACA, which the Republicans are trying to get passed. And of course, Democrats have said, by and large, no. we're not going to agree to this unless you include DACA. You know, it's a shame that our government uses the lives of young people and the health of young people as leverage, rather than just go out and do the right thing. If anything about government really pisses me off, it's that doing the right thing never seems to be incentive enough for doing the right thing. I urge you to write, send an email, contact through Twitter, make a phone call to your House member or your senator and tell them to cut out the nonsense. We need both CHIP and DACA. And the idea that they're going to save one and hold one off, you know, so that they can use that as another bargaining chip somewhere down the road the next time they want something that they can't get a majority vote, you know, for, is just, well, it's the height of cynicism. And anyway, those are my thoughts today. And I'm going to try to get up a few more videos within the next 30 days, just to kind of push my earnings a little bit higher before I get my last check. I'm not happy about this YouTube thing at all. And I feel bad about the idea that, you know, that a lot of folks are going to find a lot less incentive to keep, you know, keep posting their work on YouTube. So I'd be interested in hearing what you think about all this as well. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. And I'll see you again real soon. See if I can shut this off.